Good morning, children. Welcome back to your English classes. So children, today we are going to start Unit 3 and the name of the chapter is Gopal and the Hilsa Fish. So who is Gopal? Children, this story, if you see in the notebook, it's written in a comic style. Now what do you mean by comic style? If you have gone through such comic books, have you read comic book like Chacha Chaudhary, Spider-Man and all? There are speech bubbles form, comics, and it's written in a comic way. So even this story is also written in a comic style. So if you see in the textbook, you would find the story is not written in an essay manner. It's written in a comic style. So the story is about Gopal and the Hilsa fish. The whole story revolves around this main character, and he is the important person in the whole story. And who is that? Gopal. So this story revolves around this main character named Gopal. Now who is Gopal, children? Gopal's full name is Gopal Chandra Pramanik or Gopal Bhar. He was an entertainer. He used to play pranks. He was an entertainer in the medieval Bengal. He was in the court of Raja Krishna Chandra. That time he was the king of Nadia, a district in Bengal in the 18th century. Gopal used to give joy to others by his laughter. So he was a Navratna in the king's palace. The king had also deep trust in Gopal because of his knowledge, because of his wisdom. He possessed a keen intelligence. So because of his intelligence, the king was very fond of him because he had a good knowledge. So the main characters in the story is Gopal and Gopal's wife. Then we have king and the courtiers. So these are the main characters of the story. So children, you will find in this story how Gopal distracts the people and tries to gain the attention to himself. Uske haath mein, he has a fish in his hand, but he distracts the people, and how he tries to see that the people won't notice that fish. He dresses up himself in such a way that nobody notices the fish. It is he who has the special attraction. So what is that? When we read the story, we'll come to know. So are you all ready, children? So open your textbook. We'll start with the chapter. So children, let's begin with the chapter. So before I explain, I'll explain you. This is Gopal and his wife, his soldiers, courtiers, the king and the soldiers. So it was the season for the Hilsa fish. So Hilsa fish is one kind of fish, very costly fish, and it's very famous in Bengal. So it was the season for the Hilsa fish. Everywhere nothing but the Hilsa fish was sold. So it was during that season where everywhere people would only buy Hilsa fish. It was that season, that particular period. So the people in the market would go and buy Hilsa fish. So everywhere, even the fish people who were selling, mongers, even they were selling only this fish. And this is Hilsa fish. The householders could talk of nothing but the Hilsa fish only. So even the people who were staying in the house were only talking about Hilsa fish. They didn't have any other talk. They were only talking about this fish. Even you find in your textbook, the people, the fishmongers, they used to call out the people, come buy, the price of hilsa fish is down today. So the fishmongers, they were calling out the people to come here. When you go to buy some vegetables in the market, people call out, no, they shout, come here, come and buy. The same way the fishmongers used to call out people, shout, come here and get hilsa fish. So even the householders could talk of nothing but only about hilsa fish. So people would ask how much you pay for hilsa fish. You wouldn't believe if I told you. So even the prices were also very low. So the people couldn't believe that the price of hilsa fish is down. So all the people would rush and buy hilsa fish. And in the palace too, the courtiers could discuss nothing but about only the hilsa fish. So even this was the main talk of the town. What? Hilsa fish. Now, as everybody in the palace, in the village were only talking about this hilsa fish, they didn't have any other subject or topic to talk about. So the king got angry and spoke loudly. Oh, stop it! Are you a courtier or a fisherman? So when the palace, the king heard that the courtiers were talking amongst themselves, they were talking about whom? About this hilsa fish. So your majesty, you should have seen the huge hilsa I caught, it was. So one soldier, one courtier also came forward and told king about hilsa fish, that you know, today I got a big hilsa fish in the market, from the market. So now king got angry and he's telling, stop it. Now he's asking this courtier that, are you a courtier or you are a fisherman? Just at that time, who entered? The main character of the story. Just at that time, Gopal entered into the court with the same topic. Again, he too had the same discussion. He too had the same topic to discuss. And what was it? What was the topic? Yes, it was hilsa fish. No one, even Gopal, cannot stop from talking about hilsa fish. So the courtier is telling, now even Gopal, he is also talking about this hilsa fish. Now the courtier fell silent. With downcast eyes, the king feel guilty. Downcast eyes means depressed down with shame, because the king scolded him, shouted at him that, are you a fisherman or a courtier? So then the king asked sorry. For what, children? Because he thought that he had shouted at the courtier unnecessarily. So, I am sorry, I lost my temper. It is the season for hilsa fish and no one. So, even he asked sorry for what he had done, and he's telling now it is the season of hilsa fish. So, no one is able to stop talking about this hilsa fish. Not even Gopal. Gopal asked for a challenge. Challenge? Since everyone is talking only about hilsa fish, bring one to the palace without anyone stopping you. So now king is very clever. So he is telling, now I am putting before you a challenge. Now what is the challenge? Now he is telling Gopal that what you have to do is, you have to bring a hilsa fish to the palace, and you have to make sure that no one talk about it. उसके बारे में कोई नहीं बात करेगा. Everybody should not utter a single word about the fish you are bringing to the palace. Then let me see you buy a huge hilsa fish and bring it to the palace without anyone asking you a word about it. So nobody should ask about that fish. So this was the challenge that king had put before Gopal, and Gopal very readily he accepted the challenge. I accept the challenge, your majesty. Children, turn the page. After some days, Gopal prepared himself. So you can find a few days later. Now what he is doing? Now he is shaving. Can you see in the picture? Now his wife is asking, why is your face half shaven? So why you are shaving only half of the part? See, Only one part has been shaved. The rest, the half is not been shaved. I am dressing up to buy a fish. Now I am dressing up. मैं तैयार हो रहा हूँ to do what? I am to go and buy hilsa fish. Now what's the matter with you? Why are you smearing yourself with ash? That means why are you applying potna? Smearing means potna, पूरे body पे लगाते हैं. Now why are you smearing ash on your body? So again Gopal replied, I am dressing up to buy a hilsa fish. Now his wife got angry. Why? Because he was not dressed in a proper way. Listen to me, you can't go out in those disgraceful rags. Rags means torn clothes. What are you up to? His wife got angry that how, see yourself, look at yourself in those torn clothes. How are you going out to buy a fish? How are you going to market? What are you up to? How many times must I tell you I am out to buy a huge hilsa fish? So his wife is thinking, what happened to him? Why Gopal has dressed in this manner? What he did? He shaved half and he applied ash on his body. Then he has worn torn clothes. He has put on rag. So his wife got angry. Now what he is up to? See, look at the way he is dressed up. Gopal replies that he is going to buy hilsa fish from the market. Gopal brought the hilsa fish and started walking towards the palace. So now he goes to the market and gets one hilsa fish and he starts moving towards the palace. Everyone was quite surprised to see a crazy looking person with a hilsa fish. No one dared to ask him about anything. So children, what happens? Gopal bought the hilsa fish and he started walking towards the palace. So the people who were gathered near him in the marketplace, they all started to talk about Gopal. But no one bothered to talk about the fish that he was having in his hand. Everybody looked at him. Now everybody's attention was on Gopal. Why? Because he has dressed himself in such a weird manner that everybody started to talk about Gopal. Mother, look at that man. Isn't he comical? Comical means it's a very humorous. कैसा आदमी है जिसको he is not mad. ऐसे बोल के बच्चे सी the mother and the son. The son is pointing out to Gopal and asking his mother, look at this man. Isn't he comical? He must be mad man. I think he's a mystic. Mystic means very difficult to explain. Now, when Gopal reached the court, he was stopped by the soldiers. Even the soldiers of the palace didn't recognize Gopal. So, the moment he reached the court, the soldiers stopped him. What do you want? So, the soldiers asked him, कि आपको क्या चाहिए? I want to see the king. I have bought this hilsa fish for him. So, as they couldn't recognize, they stopped Gopal at the entrance and asked him that किससे मिलना है आपको? So, he answered that I want to see the king. I want to meet the king. I have bought this hilsa fish for him. Then Gopal suddenly began to dance and sing loudly. So now see the way he is dancing. He started to sing and dance loudly. Why, children? Yes, because what was given by the king, he could complete. He faced the challenge and the challenge was done. How come? Because nobody asked about that hilsa fish. No one could even dare to ask or see about hilsa fish. Everybody's attention was on Gopal. Quickly a messenger comes. Maharaj, Maharaj, a crazy man who's half shaven, smeared with ash and wearing torn clothes is dancing outside the palace. He wants to see you. So the courtier gets into the palace and informs the king that a crazy man, a mad man has come and he wants to meet you. Wow, let's have some fun. Bring that man to me at once. The king ordered the courtier to bring that crazy man immediately to the palace. Why? Because the king wanted to have some fun and he ordered the courtier to bring that man inside the palace. Gopal was brought before the king. He disclosed his identity. All were surprised. Now he disclosed himself. He was disguised. उसको पता नहीं चला कि वो गोपाल है. Now he disclosed his identity and all were surprised to see him. Gopal, why are you dressed up in this ridiculous fashion? So ऐसे कपड़ों में आप, why have you dressed yourself? Your Majesty, you seem to have forgotten something. So Gopal is telling, it seems आप कुछ भूल रहे हो. What was that? Yes. Strangely enough, no one seems to be interested in Hilsa fish today. So Gopal tells the king that, see, it's a very strange thing that happened today. As I went to the market to buy the Hilsa fish, till I reached the palace, no one is interested to talk about that Hilsa fish. It's a very strange thing that has taken place. Only then the king remembered the challenge he had thrown to Gopal. Then the king realized, tab yaad aaya that he had given him a challenge, that to buy a Hilsa fish and come to palace and no one should even dare to ask a single word. Yes, Gopal have won the challenge once again. So finally, Gopal had won the challenge. So have you all understood, children, this story? It's a very interesting story. So the king congratulated Gopal and said that you have achieved once again the impossible thing. So the king congratulated Gopal for what he has done. So I hope you all have understood the story, children. Children, I hope you have all understood the story. Okay. Now your homework for today is you have to read the chapter. Your homework is you have to read the chapter, and if you have any doubt, you underline it and you can ask those doubts in your live class. So all of you, bye. Take care.